Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for joining us again for the second part of this series, Racism in America. You know, it's something that we are dealing with, or we have been dealing with for hundreds of years. And we are deciding to come together as a collective group to kind of figure out how and where do we go from here, with everything that's going on in the world. So we left off talking about voting, and when we often hear each other or people say that, "Oh, my vote don't count." And again, like I said, most of the time we often think about, especially our people, presidential elections. Like that's just the end of be all. That's the only election that we have, and it's more than that that we have. And of course, the elections that we should be going out and voting for, such as your senators and your state representatives, your mayors, your city council people. Those are the people that actually create the laws and implement the laws. So if you just only voting for president, you still got the same people in office below him in the House, nothing gonna change. At the end of the day, it's gonna continue being the same because those people that have been in those seats for years, they've created those laws and they don't plan on changing. That's why they created that law. So we definitely just have to figure out and educate each other on going out and to vote. Your vote does count, so get that out your head. Your vote does count. So like I said, I know we left off with LaTanya, and I kind of want to go ahead and then let Dante speak on his stance and kind of where he feels, with that comment that people often say, and kind of, how can we do better? How can we educate?
So first and foremost, there's levels to it. Mm-hmm. And I think once we grasp that concept, I think life will be so much better. Everybody sees social media now as a place where it's the new come up. Mm-hmm. I know you wonder why I gravitated to that. It goes into the whole voting thing. Mm-hmm. When you look at social status, now we have people, you have celebrities that are guiding, the narrative. You have politicians that's guiding the narrative. So people are using their social platforms now to guide the narrative. And I think what we should do is, because again, it's levels to it. So first we have to implement some type of educational resource so that people know when voting is. Mm-hmm. Secondly, we need people to understand who we're voting for. Yeah. Do that make sense? Mm-hmm. So when you're talking about, the Congress, I literally just was talking about this the other day. I said, y'all worried about Trump. I'm like, what about these 80, 90, 173-year-old Congress people that have been sitting there since before the seat? We have to get to that place where we're teaching people on their level, because everybody's not going to learn on Antoine's level. Everybody's not going to learn on LaTanya's level or Rashawn or my level. So we have to be able to reach them where they at. How do we do that? Now we have to implement something that is structured that will, as an educator, what I have to do is I have so many different learning types. So I have to create programs that everyone can learn from, even if they learn in different levels, on different times, or whatever the sort may be. Whatever the case may be. So we have to do that same thing, getting people out there to vote, because it's very important. I can't even stress the importance of voting, because, we sit here and we wonder why, traffic laws, these gun laws, all these things, like, they're sitting right in front of our face. We have complete access to them, yet they're not changing because we have not made a decision in our mind to go out there and make our vote count. Your vote does count. Please know that every time you add one to another number, the number changes. So that's what we have to get to, that place where we're almost to a place of demanding. It has to be, because you have to see the importance of going out to vote. You complain about the line standing there to vote, but you'll stand in the line to buy some Jordans. Let's think about this. Does that make sense? You'll stand in line to go get tissue when they say it's a storm in Georgia. I don't understand the thought process of people. So now we have to put back importance on voting. We have to put back importance on how we can be the change that we need to see. So just to give y'all a heads up, that is my new slogan for the 2020, 2021, 2022 year. Be the change. So don't be trying to go put on a shirt, Antoine. Because you know you'll go put a little cute little shirt on and stuff. Rashawn, you either. And Ty, I just met you, but you better not do it either. But we have to be that change. So, you know, like Antoine said, rent a van. Go take some people to go vote. You don't want them in your car, go rent a van, go rent a bus, go do whatever you know what I'm saying, whatever's needed. Like now we need some new Martin Luther Kings and some new Malcolm X's. We need some new activists that are actually doing more than just talking, because talking gets old. And it's easy to get up there eloquently speaking with big words that break down dynamics that will shift change. But it's even more powerful when you can physically make that change. So I'm definitely in agreement with Antoine. If we got to go get some buses together, you know what I'm saying? I guess I got to get behind the chair, do some more hair so I can make some money, so I can go get a bus or whatever. But you know, I'm down for the cause, because we have to be that change. No one else is going to do it. Everybody is still making excuses, and it's time for us to be more accountable. Yeah. Let's just be honest. It's time to be accountable. It's time out for excuses. It's time for people to be accountable. And we have to get out there and be the face of what we want to see. I don't care if you're black or if you're white in office, long as you're doing right by the law. That's what I want to see, because I'm like, again, Antoine, I'm not pro-black. I'm sorry. There's time I put other on my applications, depending on where I'm going. You never know. But, you know what I'm saying, that doesn't take away but the fact that I'm mixed. So I'm not going to just sit there and just say, oh, well, I'm Black power. No, I stand for humanity. I stand for equal rights for everyone. So let's, again, be that face that we want to see. And if it's a face of positivity, let's do it. If it's a face of change, let's do it. And let's be effective. Let's stop doing all this talking. And we keep having all these meetings. Like you said, 50 years ago, they were protesting, they were looting. And what did it cause? People to get killed. Mm-hmm. Here we go, 2020, the exact same thing. So we have to, you know, now we have to stress it more and more. It's time for change.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, you're right. You know, it's interesting because you look on social media, and of course we know social media is a big thing now. You know, you look on social media and everybody has their opinions. And my thing is, if you're gonna have an opinion, that's fine. But some of these people, they may actually have some good opinions. So my thing is, go run for office. If you don't like what so-and-so doing, if you don't like the mayor of Atlanta doing, guess what? Go run against her. Run against her. You know, you may can actually implement and do something different that she's not doing, or he's not doing, or whoever the case is. You know, it's time for us to stop sitting around waiting for someone else to jump into that seat. If you got a good idea, if you got a good stance, run. Because we need the younger generation now. We need those younger minds now to start getting into these seats. Because if you just wait for the next person, because what's going to happen is you're going to let another older person get into that seat, and you're still not going to like what they're doing. And you're going to continue being in the same situation, being on Facebook, being on Instagram, just voicing your opinion. And your opinion ain't went nowhere at that point, but just right down on the internet, on the web. You know, so we definitely need to start, you know, running for office, you know. And if somebody wants to run for office, that's younger and they got a good stance, get behind them, push them. If somebody's a good speaker, push them. That's what we need. That's what we need. Like I said, we got to get these older people that's in these seats, that done been in these seats, and they're 80 years old, can barely walk, and they still sitting up there in the Senate trying to make laws. For me at 31, what you had dealt with when you was 31, I'm not dealing with at this point. So I need you to get out of office and let somebody else get up there that can relate to me now at this point, and create a laws based off of what we, in the time now that we're living. That's what we need. So definitely, I push anybody. If you want to, I used to want to get into politics myself. I actually, when I lived in Florida, I used to want to run for mayor for the city of Tampa. I didn't do it. I don't think politics is my calling. But definitely, I mean, if you have friends or relatives or someone that express their interest in wanting to do it, hey, if they got a good stance, push them. I mean, that's what we need. We need people. We need fresher minds in these seats. So that's definitely very, very important. So now we're going to kind of shift things and kind of go into another, I guess you could say, topic for this evening. So the next topic is kind of what do we see the healing process now being for us, and how do we get there? Once laws start changing, again, once we're out here protesting, we're out here supposed to be hopefully voting, and once we get these people in office, now what is the healing process for America? And for our people as a whole, because as LaTonya said, it all starts with the mind. When I first wanted to start getting into doing empowerment conferences, that was my goal. That word that we've been throwing around all night: educating. So how can we educate people? And again, like I said, how and what do we see that process being, that healing process, and kind of where we go from then? Because again, this is going to be something that we're going to be, it's layers to it that we're going to be now having to undo hundreds of years, and I often tell people, and even when I'm talking to my parents, not saying that they're right or wrong, I listen to them because, they're older, they're wiser, they've seen more than what I've seen. But yet here it is now, I'm their child coming along. I now have seen things differently. Again, they didn't probably have the education that I have now. So I'm able to see things from a different perspective, that kind of can help bring and bridge that gap, the things that they couldn't have not done or did not see. So definitely, what is the healing process, and educating each other on getting to that process. So how do we go from there? LaTonya, talk to me.
Okay, well, I think how we go from there is giving ourselves permission to heal, right? We've all had to be in sort of this survival. Being Black in America is, you're always on survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
The first graders that are not Black, they worrying about nap time. They worrying about what they bring in the show and tell. Our first graders have to worry about not making it home. Okay? That's a lot of stress. Mm-hmm. It is. I think the strong Black man and strong Black woman is something that is killing us as a people, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And like we said earlier in the previous segment, is based on having to endure, right? So let's start with the why certain things are wrong. When, I don't know how many of us have been in white spaces where, something like this, a tragedy happens, and somebody may ask you, well, what did the person do, right? If I could see a not police officer, but I could see a mass murderer who is white get fed Burger King and a glass of water, right? And I see an unarmed Black person, okay, have their hands up with no weapon, get shot, we should all be able to see the issue here. And if you're in those white spaces, speak up. It's no longer time to be silenced, mm-hmm. right? It's no longer time to just say, well, whatever, this is just what you don't have to do that more patient is the key to educate them. Okay, because that's what people are missing. I heard people say that, okay, with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery, they're afraid for people to start digging up their past, right? Because when it comes to our people getting slain, they like to basically prosecute the victim. That's an issue. Okay, and we have to make sure we're not doing that ourselves. We shouldn't have to answer that. Well, what did they do? What was their life like before? No, this is a human being. That serial killer can get their day in court, so do we, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely speaking up. Say something, educate people around you, even the people who don't look like you. If you're white and you're watching this, do the reading. You cannot pass the test if you do not do the reading. We should not have to consistently educate you. You have more access to education than we do. As Black people, do the reading. Pick up a book and read about us, okay? Because that's another issue that the world we live in has, is like, oh, if it doesn't affect me, it don't bother me. No, we're human beings first, before we're any color. We're human beings. So if it's not right for that human being to go through that, you should be able to understand and empathize with them. Also, our parents, like sometimes I feel like every person that is born, they have an opportunity to be the answer, to hear their whole line, their whole lineage of people. Everybody has a chance to do that. Okay, as long as you're still breathing, you still got breath in your body, you still have a chance to add and try to heal that line. By you going to therapy, okay, is giving your ancestors a voice that they didn't have. So grant them that. They deserve that. You deserve that. You have to understand your value in this world. Okay? After you go to therapy, take your mom to a session. Take your dad to a session. Okay? And let them have that space. Because I think even like the basic things that we've lost. I joke with my teenagers who come from abusive homes. And I ask them, what is an adult really? What is a person who is angry and acting out? Doesn't it look like a child? Mm-hmm. So that person who's yelling at you, telling you ain't gonna be nothing, doing all sorts of things to you, that's their inner self screaming out for that attention, because that little 7-year-old never got a voice, right? It's important to connect to that. If your parent won't go to therapy, ask them about their story. Ask them about their childhood and empathize. Sometimes you have to teach people how to treat you, right? By giving them that validation that they never got. Because that 9 times out of 10, that's what it is. We are all manifestations of our parents' unresolved issues. All of us. What they don't deal with, we will deal with. So if we don't know their story, we won't know how to correct it. Okay? So create that space, not only for yourself, after you do it for yourself, but do it for your parents. Yes, I understand, Dad, you had to be hard on me because these were all the tools, but it hurt me, right? But I know you got that from somewhere. Where did you get it from? And how did it make you feel?
Yeah.
That type of understanding, that type of healing, I feel like is where we start in the home, and also holding each other accountable for our actions. Okay? As long as I give you the education, okay, I understand people moving, not having the education and continuing to hurt people. But once I give you the education, you are now responsible for the outcome. Okay? But I'm saying let's bring it back and at least give people the chance to get the education, to feel the empathy, to feel the validation, because every behavior, everything you do, it stems from childhood. There's a reason behind it. Yeah. So let's stop just looking at the surface. Everybody knows good and well, okay, this person, they got an attitude, something going on in their life. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows. So let's have more understanding for each other. And then we start to teach the world how to treat us. But those who are on the outside that have privilege, do the reading, educate yourself.
Definitely. I agree. And that's why I said early on the first segment when we first started, honestly, if it had not been for LaTonya, she has been an amazing friend of mine for so many years living in Atlanta. And we would often have our conversations. And me and LaTonya, we can get on the phone. We think we're going to be on the phone 5 or 10 minutes. And before you know it, can be 3 or 4 hours later. And we're both sitting there saying, oh, okay, I got to go. And she has always been that backbone for me, an amazing sister that has always pushed therapy, and if it had not been for her, I probably wouldn't have been seeking therapy. And when I did started seeking therapy, I've seen at that point, like, wow, a lot of this stuff that I've been carrying for so long, that I've been holding on for so long, that has been wearing me down. And I wonder why certain relationships may not work, or why certain things that I try to do, that it just don't work. And I just feel like, okay, well, everything is always going to seem to go bad because you're holding on to so much stuff for so long. You got to get rid of it. And like you said, it's things that it stems from your childhood. We don't realize a lot of times that things that we may have endured during our childhood, at the age of 30-something years old, you may think, oh, yeah, that's been a long time ago. I'm over it. Okay, no, you may have Band-Aided it. You parking lot of it, but it's still there. Because as soon as that one reaction that you may get, the trigger, you're going to hop right in that car and you ain't going to park a lot it no more. And you finna now react off of that. And you don't realize that's what you're doing. So definitely seeking therapy, I recommend that to anybody. If you don't do it, if you're not doing it, you need to. You're not crazy if you do. Trust me. I seek a therapist faithfully. LaTonya will tell you, I call her anytime, randomly. Sometimes, LaTonya, I need to talk.
Yes. And you just reminded me of something, Rashawn. Also, you do not have to have a mental illness to see a therapist.
Exactly.
You do not. If you feel something, if you go through stress, you have every right to see somebody and be able to take the cape off, right? And lay your burdens down. Because the thing is, our community you wouldn't pray away a stab wound, would you? You go to the doctor, right? It's all connected.
Yeah.
Get your mental in check with somebody that is educated and has done the work to help guide you into healing, because it's definitely all connected. You know how many Black people die from like diseases because they're just like, I'm not going to tell my friends that I got cancer, and then the stage 4, they in the hospital by themselves, right? And studies show you have a better chance of beating a terminal illness if you have people who love you around you. Okay, so that speaks to getting some healing and being able to speak what happened to you, because we've already been living in silence. Your grandmother, your grandfather, whoever didn't said, oh, what happens in this house stays in this house. That's killing them. Okay, it's killing us. Speak. Don't let the silence take away your voice and that pain. Say it out loud, say that it happened, and let's start to heal it.
Exactly. Definitely. I just love that. Yeah, we, like you said, it takes a village. It takes a village. So if you are dealing with something, like you said, you don't have to have a mental illness, but if you are dealing with something, we all deal with stress every day of our lives. I mean, that's a part of life. You're gonna deal with stress, So, and there's nothing wrong with having somebody to talk to. If you can't talk to your friends, or if you feel like you can't talk to your parents, or you can't talk to your siblings or your relatives, honestly, it's best that you do reach out to somebody that's a professional that has went through the training, that can help guide you through the healing process. And once you heal, life will be better for you. So definitely, Tonya, thank you so much for that. those words of encouragement. We definitely appreciate that. That's definitely what we need. Definitely. So thank you so much. Dantes, what are your thoughts on the healing process? Again, after policies have been changing, people are going out to vote, and getting the right people in these seats that can start implementing these changes, implementing these new laws. What do you see the healing process for our people and for the world? Because again, we're all human and we all have to heal, so what are your thoughts on the healing process?
So one thing I'm going to say, I believe that all four of us are going to agree that mental health is the first priority. That's definitely hands down the first priority. It's ironic that today I preached on Paul, who had a different name at first. And one of the things that I noted was it's a great thing that God does not allow our beginning to be our ending. You get what I'm saying? So when LaTanya talked about our people being afraid of our past being exposed, if you expose it, you don't have to worry about no one else doing it. That makes sense? So I jumped ahead of the game, and I've always been very transparent because I knew that one day in my life that, I would make an impact. I knew the direction of which way my life is going to go. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I knew where I was going to be and who I was going to be. So I definitely see our nation only healing if they make a conscious decision to focus on mental health, becoming mentally healthy, and taking accountability for actions. We can't dwell on the past. We can't keep reliving the past, but we have to use the past as a catalyst to catapult to that next level. We can't keep dwelling on slavery because you have to think about it. We're in a whole nother mindset. Dante's love is I'm not going to be a slave. It's just not going to happen. And the mentality of people today, we're not going to go backwards because people are fed up. So we have to get people in a healthy state of mind so that when the changes take place, they don't become contradictory. It doesn't become pointless. Because again, hurt people. So if all these changes are implemented and everybody's still hurt, we're still going to be victimizing ourselves. So we have to make that conscious decision to grow. Like LaTanya said, give yourself permission to be relieved of the hurt. Let me tell you something. I've endured a lot in my little 37 years. And I can't, people say, if I could do it all over again, I would do it differently. I wouldn't, because I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't go through what I went through. African Americans are as strong as we are because of the oppression, because of the depression. We are who we are because we have had to be strong no matter what. Now we just have to take it to the next level. Get mentally healthy. And if we get mentally healthy, I believe that we can be so much more impactful. We have, the creativity that comes from our culture is undeniably world changing. So if we could tap into that mental health portion like we tap into that creativity, imagine where we would be. Imagine where the world would be. There will be a lot of sad people because, yes, now, it's out of the ashes that we're rising. But I believe that, again, we could take our rightful places. We can fight for equality and get it. You know what I'm saying? If we focus on that mental health. No matter what catalog we try to create, it all triggers back to that one point. We have to be mentally healthy. Yeah. It's no other way, because again, hurt people, broke people. Like, listen, y'all have helped me. You know what I'm saying? Just in this. And I think I love it the most because nobody's giving answers from a bitter place. So I believe that we're being the example that we want to see. You get what I'm saying? Everybody's speaking from that place of genuine love, genuine growth, and from a healthy mindset. So with that, we can be impactful, and the world would change because it will have no other choice, because the influences will be the positivity that we need.
Yeah, definitely. Said that. You said.
Well, you know, sometimes I get a little deep, then I start playing too much, so I'm gonna mute my mic before I mess up.
Said that. That is so true. You know, I often, before we turn it over to Antoine, I often think about something that he does regularly. We don't realize the power that we have as Black people. We don't. You know, I love the fact when you talk to Antoine, he doesn't really acknowledge you by your name. And I love that. When he speaks to you and calls you a king. When he speaks to you as a female, he calls you a queen, because that's who you are. That's who you are. And we don't realize the power that we have. We don't. You are a king. You are a queen. So it's time for us to start sitting on our rightful place on that throne and rule like we're supposed to rule, and take this world and take this nation to the next level that it's supposed to be in. It's time for us to stop being silent. No more. You know, I was telling somebody the other day that it's just something about, again, this situation with George Floyd that, to me, that sits. It hit different. It hit different. I feel like now is the time that we are tired. I want my seat on the throne. I'm tired of being silent. I want my seat on the throne at this point. So now that things are changing, now that we are being vocal, now that we are now uniting, now it's time for us to now get behind each other and push each other. It's not time for us to only do it for the month of June, and then July, they give you another stimulus, you back at the mall again, and we ain't hear you saying nothing no more. Where you at now? And then here it is, if COVID do a second round, then what? You out your job again, or then now you want to start talking up? No. Keep it going. Keep it going. Continue talking. Continue having these conversations. You know, I often tell my friends all the time, you know, we can get together, we can go out for drinks sometimes, we can go to the club sometimes, we can do this, we can travel. But I love those moments when I can sit down with my friends and we have real, genuine conversations about real issues. I'd rather do that any day. Any day. Because once we start seeing the change, okay, cool. I'm comfortable enough to go back and start having drinks with everybody at that point. But until then, I don't want to do it. I can care less about doing it. I'd rather sit down and have real conversations about real life issues, because at the end of the day, we are all human and we all have issues that we deal with on a daily basis. And then sometimes, again, you just need somebody to talk to.
I love it. Well, I'm gonna put my cash up out there, so when y'all get them stimuluses, because you know they seem to not want to give me one. So you know what I'm saying.
You crazy. But seriously, you know, but we have to definitely take our rightful seats on our thrones and be the kings and queens that we're supposed to, that we were made to be. So Antoine, we're gonna go ahead and turn it over to you. With what are you thinking? Where do you see the healing process for our people, for our nation? You know, again, when things change, because we're gonna speak and we don't decree and declare it right now, because some change is gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm commanding God right now that some change is gonna happen. So when things start changing, where do you see the healing process for us as a nation, as people in general? What do you see the healing process being? And how do we get there? You know, and once we get there, how do we continue healing from it?
So anger is a very dysfunctional place to be. And when you look at the hundreds of thousands of people who are angry right now, who are rioting and who are out there marching and begging and pleading to make a difference, when all of this is over, and all is said and done, where does that anger go? Where does that anger go? And you're not going to tell me that you've released it by looting or spray painting or making a point, because when my mother was angry at my father and she would beat us, it still festered in her.
Come on.
It didn't go away because she hit us. It didn't go away. It actually just surfaced a little bit higher. So when you speak about the healing place, what are we doing about the hundreds of thousands of people that are out here angered? And I mean, that's just the people showing their anger.
Uh-huh.
So that takes you back to the mental illness aspect of it, because these people need someone to talk to. They need, we need an outlet, a safe haven, to be able to speak and not be judged in return, to be able to speak and not be called crazy, to be able to speak and show our anger and not feel inferior, to be able to speak to someone and not have to worry about if my job is going to let me go because I put a BLM hashtag on my LinkedIn. So I think that healing space is something that we have to get comfortable in. And I'll say this, because to say where the healing space is as a world is extremely hard, because we're all on different tiers and we move in different modalities. But I'll say this, we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. The minute that we become comfortable, change can't happen. And so we have to get comfortable. And being a person who did not believe in speaking with a therapist or believe in, I thought, therapists were robbing me of my copay and my insurance. And it took for me to end up in a mental institution till I realized how valuable these souls are. It took me to end up there to say, I can go see an oncologist and a urologist and my PCP, as well as my, a dentist. They're just as important, if not more, because if your psyche isn't right, so if that psyche is not right for us that are out here, then nothing else matters. And so I think what the fellow panelists said, if we don't take care of our mental, and that's where it needs to start. That's where it needs to start. We have to be okay with talking.
Yeah.
We have to be okay with crying.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be okay with saying that we're not okay.
Yeah.
And once we get there, once we're able to have that conversation with someone, and where you can counterpart you can have a conversation with your white counterpart at work and not be afraid or intimidated because you think that you're going to get terminated, because that's where anger build up at. So that they're the things I think that we need to change. It starts in the home. It starts in the workplace. It starts when you're allowing your child to get on Instagram, to get on Facebook, to get on Snapchat, to get on TikTok, and to watch the news, but you're not having a conversation as to why what's going on is going on and how they feel about it. I don't care how old they are and what color they are. As long as they have a beating heart, then there's a need there. And so I just think that we got to start having those tough conversations. And in having those tough conversations, change will come. Change will come. And that's when healing start to happen. It's just like if you're HIV, you go and get tested, that conversation with the doctor is uncomfortable. But if you don't have that conversation, you don't know what medicine you need to take. You have cancer. The doctor won't tell you what stage you're in because it's uncomfortable. So they don't know if it's going to be aggressive treatment or if it's not going to be aggressive treatment. But if you don't have that uncomfortable conversation, you won't get the healing that you need. So once we start having those uncomfortable conversations, I think that we can heal as a human race. I think that we can heal as a people. I think that I love you will be common.
Yes.
I think that I love you would be common. And to go back onto what you said about royalty and how I address everyone, salutations are extremely important to me. They're extremely important. And the reason I say king and queen to everyone is because all kings and queens did not walk around wearing crowns.
Come on.
So you don't need some gaudy piece of gold or silver placed on the top of your head. It's all in what you put on your feet. Yeah. And I believe that. It's the work that you do with your 2 feet that makes all the difference between royalty and someone pretending to belong in the kingdom.
Come on.
So I think once we start having those uncomfortable conversations and focus on the mental aspect, as the panelist said, I think, we would be in the right direction. Most certainly.
Definitely. Yeah, you said that. I want to piggyback off of what you were saying as far as in the workplace. Of course, since everything has been going on with George Floyd and, different situations that have been happening, you see a lot of these different companies are putting out statements. And, my thing is a statement is fine. I appreciate it. Thank you. You did the first step. You've acknowledged it. Now, what are you going to do as a company at that point to start implementing? Because you can tell me, you can send out a beautiful email all day and tell me how hurt you are, how sorry you are about what's going on. But what are you going to do now to start implementing it? And that's kind of where I am, and that could be a potential next step. These companies start playing their part. Don't just acknowledge it. Now start implementing some things. Because at the end of the day, those things have been going on for years. That is continuing to keep us in that same place. So I need you now to, since you the first step and you've acknowledged it. So then now, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Rashawn, it's crazy that you say that, because I had a conversation with someone the other day, and I'm watching all of these companies put information out. But when I went, I'm a researcher by love. And so when I started looking at all of these companies, it's amazing how we putting all this information out, and you're saying how Black Lives Matter and how you have this and how you're in support of. But when I look at your C-suite or your executive board,
come on,
and they're all of a non-minority race. Mm-hmm. How much do my life matter to you? And when you can count and tell me how many African Americans work in your company, and you really didn't look at that D&I report or look at those reports from HR that we feel, how? I think I get a little lost with that. Yeah. Because you're telling me that we matter and that you support, but I'm not good enough, for no more than a 20-second elevator spiel while you go to the top floor and I'm getting off at the 7th. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because it kind of confused me, but that can be another conversation for a different segment.
I understand, definitely. No, one of my best friends, she work in I work in higher education as well, and we were talking about one of the president of the state for the university schools in the state of Georgia, and how she sent out an email saying Black Lives Matter and how she's hurting from it and how we're all hurting from it, and her, how she's just so sorry and this is unacceptable. And then, of course, we had this conversation where she then put this quote from Martin Luther King. And the thing that bothers me with them is they often, the safe place is always put this quote from Martin Luther King. You know how many other people that's fought for our rights besides Martin Luther King? So that tells me right there, you ain't really doing your research. If that's the only person you can quote, you got to come with something better than that. So, and then again, that's something that, again, whether these corporations are going to now, a statement is fine. I'm glad you've acknowledged it. So where are you now going to start implementing? So that way, me as an employee, can feel comfortable in the workplace. Because I shouldn't have to come to work, like you said, and feel like I can't say certain things because I'm afraid now I might lose my job. Because now that's my livelihood. I may have children at home. I might have a wife at home or whoever, at home, and I still got to take care of. But I should be able to have these conversations with my counterparts, and it's nothing. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. Okay? Dantes, I know you had your hand up. Go ahead, Dantes. I know you had something you want to kind of pick it back off of.
I'm not impressed with these companies making a post or putting out a statement that Black Lives Matter. I would be more impressed if they reached out to the government. I would be more impressed if they reached out to legislation. I would be more impressed if they reached out to Senate to incorporate change. Mm-hmm. But to sit back and make a post that says Black Lives Matter, we can say anything. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? If there's no heartfelt meaning behind it, it means absolutely nothing. Because even with so my question was to somebody just recently, all these people are donating all this money to a supposed change or to something that's supposed to change the narrative. But the issue that I have is, what about the people that's already been living in poverty? What about the people that has already lost someone to police brutality? What about the people who, have had to live and endure through this time, and you're donating money to be of assistance to them when there's people that's still living in poverty and you could have been of assistance to them? You get what I'm saying? So I'm not impressed with Macy's or nobody else saying, oh, well, I posted that Black Lives Matter, because that means absolutely nothing. What means something is you taking the initiative to bring forth change so that these kids don't have to be scared to walk to the store because the police might just so happen to have a bad day and want to put their knee in somebody's neck. You get what I'm saying? Yep. So, okay, I'm gonna calm down because now that got touchy for me, because it's like we're living in this time where we have to walk on eggshells. We can't speak on certain things because everybody's in their feelings, everybody's in their emotions, and now we have to change it. Just change has to happen. Change has to happen.
Definitely. I feel you on that. Definitely. And again, like I say, the first step is acknowledging it. And I appreciate companies for acknowledging it. And even with, like you said, y'all giving all this money away. What about the African-American woman, single mother, that may have the same degree as this Caucasian woman? So all this money you got just laying over here now that you can donate to this organization. Why not give that woman a raise so that way she don't have to struggle to take care of her family anymore? So that way she can be on the same level as that white woman. Why not do that? So I definitely agree with you on that. Definitely, it's other ways that you can implement this change without just, a statement is fine. Again, thank you, appreciate it that you've acknowledged it. But what are you going to do as companies to now start changing the narrative and implement some change? So definitely, I agree with you on that. Latonya, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, do the reading. Stop playing. Do the reading. Educate yourself. Like, I can't like another issue I feel like we also have is I'm in LA and I'm hearing about people's schooling, white and black. The only thing they know about black people is slavery. That's it. Okay? You ain't doing the reading. So a lot of people are not going to understand the gravity and the amount of pain. America, you not seeing a 0.2% of what black people's anger equates to based off of how much they've been enduring. And that looks like revenge. Okay? That looks like burning the whole world down. That's how much anger we got built up in pain we have built up. So still our people are out there showing a whole lot of restraint based on the amount of pain that they have endured already. Okay? So we can't just take, all right, just let me post about it. We can't just take, okay, let me throw some money at it. Like the whole system, the systems need to change because they're set up for us to fail. Like they had a conversation about a law, the lynching law, right? And like there was a Republican saying that, okay, we don't want somebody that is black to get 10 years if they slap a Jewish woman, right? But if you change it, okay, if a white person slaps a black person and it's a hate crime, that means because they're still in a position of privilege, they'll only get a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
So the system is still set up for us to fail, whatever they put in the laws, however they tweak it, right? So the people who have the knowledge and understand that, you need to do better, because I feel part of me feels like you don't want us to notice.
Yeah.
Right? The little parts. Like, do you guys remember, like a few years back, I think when Bush was president, there was something in the Constitution that by a certain time, it will take away our black people's right to vote. Does anybody remember hearing that in the news?
Every 25 years, Congress or African Americans have the right to vote, and a lot of us don't even know that.
Right. Exactly, but they know it, right? So if you see this and you know it, we see you. Yeah. Do your part.
Yeah, definitely. That is so true. Yeah, a lot of people don't even know that every so many years, Congress votes for us to have a right to vote. And that's what bothers me a lot of times when I do hear people say, well, my vote don't count. But you have these people that have sacrificed their life so that way you have an option to vote if you want to vote. So you should go down there and tear the polls down every time an election comes. Rather, if you feel like your vote don't count, you should be down there tearing the polls down every time an election comes. Because there were people that came before you that gave their life so that way we have that option. Because at one point we didn't have it. And I often think about where I hear people say, well, I don't know what it feels like because I never was discriminated against. I don't know. My parents, my black parents, they were able to set us up and put us in Buckhead, in other words. So I don't know. I never had to deal with that. Let me tell you something. It's a news flash. Your parents, people that came before them, they wouldn't have had that option if somebody didn't fight. They wouldn't have had that option. So you do know. So you should get out and be a voice and make your voice heard, because those same options that you have right now may not be there after a while. So it mind boggles me when I hear people make that statement. And you can be a person of color. Yes, you do. You do know what it feels like. You do know. You may not have dealt with it directly, but you do know, because your parents, the people that came before them, gave their life so that way your family can have that option later on. So definitely, I just love this conversation. This has been amazing tonight, you guys. Again, like I said, this has touched me. It has opened my eyes up to even more. It has gave me the heart to even want to do more, and do more to educate our people, because that's the most important thing. We definitely have to educate each other. Again, when you know knowledge, spread the knowledge, spread the word. Like I say, when you know better, you do better. So definitely spread the knowledge, spread the word. Thank you guys so much for joining me this evening. I know you guys could have been doing anything else tonight, but you took time out your busy schedule to come together to figure out where do we go, and how do we get there, and how does that look for us? So I'm just so honored, and I'm thankful for you amazing kings and queens being here tonight with me, looking amazing on this Sunday evening. So I'm extremely grateful. So thank you guys so much. I look forward to this change that's about to come, because something is about to break. Something is about to break. So thank you guys so much this evening. You guys have any final comments that you want to say to the people? Anything, the floor is yours. Don't all go at once. Antoine, did you got anything, final comments that you want to say?
So feel free to follow me on all of my social media handles at Fashion Guru, and that's spelled GHURU. And I'll leave you with this. We get so uncomfortable in life. And think about life like waiting in a doctor's office. You're sitting in the waiting room. You've gotten there at 8 o'clock. Your appointment is for 9 a.m. And people keep coming in and keep getting called back before you. Just know that God isn't done working. He hasn't gotten your results back for your blessings to call you out of your waiting room. So continue to be patient and steadfast in your waiting room, and don't give up. King and queen, whoever you are listening to this and watching this, I love you. If you haven't heard it today, I love you from the pit of my soul, and I wish nothing but the best for you.
Thank you for those words. Dantes, any final comments that you would like to leave for the people? Some encouragement.
Well, I sure do. Yeah, y'all can follow me on Instagram and all social media handles as well, at Mr. Dantes Love, all one word. If I can leave you with something positive and something influential, I would have to use my favorite line for 2020, 2021, 2022. Be the change that you want to see, and don't ever regret wanting to be that change. So oftentimes we see people want to duplicate, and there's nothing better than an original. So if you be that change, those that come after you can be their authentic selves, because it comes from a pure place. So I love you guys too.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Latanya, any final comments, encouragement?
Yes, you can follow me at Live and Be Great. I also have a website, liveandbegreat.com, and also have a podcast called Live and Be Great as well. It's on Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Beaker, and Google Play. I would just like to say, I want the world to just have more empathy for each other, more understanding, to just have a conversation. You don't have to create change just through an argument, because when you have two people arguing, you can't really hear each other, right? You can disagree, you can do things different, but let's just have more understanding for our pain, especially as Black people. Don't go into this idea as just because I have the education, now I'm better than the person that didn't have access to the education. No, bring it to them, bring it to them, and Also another thing is that everybody's pain has value. Okay, you may not meet the person that needs to hear your story today. You may meet them 10 years from now, and you'll understand why God allowed you to go through what you went through. Because honestly, sometimes it's not about what's being said, but it's about the vessel it is coming from. So the person who's been through things that I haven't been through is not going to hear it from me, because that story is not the same, but they'll hear it from you because of your story. And that is why you went through what you went through. So that person can see that there is light at the end of the tunnel because you made it. Okay? So speak up, tell your stories, talk to each other, have empathy, and healing starts within. Once you heal from within, you'll understand your worth and what you're owed.
Yeah.
You can't understand your value if you don't value your emotions, your life, and your story. No one else will. Okay? And ask a Black child, how was their day? Because nobody does that. So do that for me. If you see one, no matter what race you are, whoever you are, ask a Black child when you run into them how their day was.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys so much. That was amazing. That truly tonight has been amazing. Again, I'm so grateful to have you guys joining me from every part of the country. It's been great. I look forward to many more conversations because, again, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. You know, the conversation has to continue. So, again, thank you guys so much. This concludes the second Breaking the Cycle Empowerment Conference, Racism in America. So thank you guys so much. America, everybody, it's time for us to educate each other. So let's go out and educate each other and let your voices be heard. And again, hey, this is 2020. We're up for another election. Let's make sure we get out and vote. That is very important because your vote does matter. Just like Black Lives Matter, your vote matters as well. So let's go out there and let's be the change. Let's definitely be the change. Thank you guys so much.